Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katie for those who have for some reason forgotten, and this is Books R Us. So this month, let me get that up. There you go. This month it is Women's History Month. So woohoo! So today I will be talking about my top 10 books that have strong female characters for one reason or another. So let's get started. So the first one that I remember reading, this was like the first main book well, it's the first main book I remember reading, and it's called Alana, the first song by Tamora Pierce. It's the first in a series of 4 or 5 books about Alana, who doesn't want to go to this one place her father wants her to go. She doesn't want to learn how to be a lady, basically. So she takes her brother's spot in the academy for squires, basically, squires and knights, so she can learn how to be a knight. I read this when I was 10, and I really enjoyed how determined she was. This whole series was written back, I believe, in the 90s. I mean, the books were a few years old by the time I started them. But, anyways, I really liked how strong she was. It was the first real book I remember reading that had a strong female character, and it's really good to show girls at that age what they can do if they set their minds to it. So that's why I liked that book and that series in particular. The next one I actually just read a few weeks back. You've heard me talk about it a few times, been on a few videos, and that is Pride by E.B.'s Boy, which is the Pride and Prejudice remix. And this one is about a girl who is one in five sisters, and there's a family who moves in across the street and doesn't really understand the culture of the neighborhood, and kind of the whole journey of the girl and the guy hating each other at first, but then ending up together at the end, as one does in a lot of YA books. Is like they start hating each other, but they end up that they really like each other. But it was done in a way that it was really cool. It's set in Brooklyn, and I really enjoyed everything. I chose this one because she stands up for who she believes in, what she believes her neighborhood is about. The next one that I think a lot of people might gravitate towards or understand this, or why I chose this, is the Hunger Games series. I chose a series as a whole rather than the one. It really shows, it was really one of the first, if not the first, main series that was set in the future and was a dystopian. It was the first one that teens really latched onto, and kind of set the wave of dystopian books as well as strong female characters in the dystopian world. So it talks a bunch about the Hunger Games and how you survive, and the main character is female. So she survives actually 2 Hunger Games, which is rare, never heard of. But it's really interesting because it kind of, like I said before, set a movement of um, authors writing more strong female characters because the audience wanted them. So I really enjoyed that. I really think Suzanne Collins, the author, really did a good job of starting the movement of that whole genre. Now, the next one I actually just finished yesterday morning, and it was absolutely amazing, was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is about a girl who is a magi. She can do magic, and but the king has cut off their source for the magic. So all magi's in this country have no powers, or if they do, they have very limited powers, because the king has cut off their power source, basically their connection to the gods. But I chose this because one of the main characters, there are four different perspectives. There are three different perspectives. Two of them are female, and they are strong females, and they one of them is the main character who has looked up to her strong mother who she saw die in front of her, and so it's all about her her journey on trying to bring magic back to the world, and kind of what happens when that does actually happen, or if it does actually happen. It kind of left on a cliffhanger at the end of the book, so yeah. The next one on my list is actually a duology. As of now, it's a duology. It's a Nemesis series by April Daniels. The first book is called Dreadnought. And I actually just read this last year. I saw it on our library's new releases table. Anyways, I got them from the library, which is why I don't have a copy here. There's a person who realizes they are in the wrong body, that they are trans female, so a female stuck in a male's body, and they see Dreadnought, which is a superhero, basically get killed in front of them. So then they touch Dreadnought, and that kind of transfers. It transfers Dreadnought's power from Dreadnought to this person. And you find out that once this power has been transferred, she changes into the person she most wants to be. So it kind of describes it in the book. One of the characters tells the main character, whose name is Danny, that usually, like the Dreadnought character, the powers get passed on. So the main character is told that usually it'd be like the person wants to be a little taller, or be stronger, or whatever else. So when the power gets passed to them, that's what happens, or that's what changes about them, is their height or their muscles or whatever. But in Danny's case, it actually brings out who she truly is inside. So instead of being male like all the other dreadnoughts before her, she's the first female dreadnought. And so it talks about, family issues. It talks about friends issues. It talks about all of these different things. But through it all, Danny pursues and continues working towards being a better dreadnought than she can. And so it was really interesting because although I don't read many superhero books, novels, graphic novels, whatever, it was really interesting to see a superhero who is trans. So I thought that was really interesting. The next one on my list is Wires and Nerve by Marissa Meyer. This is a graphic novel, which I actually did for a booktubeathon last year. It talks about Io. This is Io, who is a android, and it's a continuation on the Lunar Chronicles books and what happens afterwards. And although Io is a side character in the Lunar Chronicles and Wires and Nerve, she's a main character. And she's different than most androids in that she actually has a personality, and her personality, there we go, really shines through. So it's all about, what makes you a person, and how everyone accepts Io for who she is, no matter if she's human or android. So that's kind of why I chose that one. Now the next one I have is called Aeon Dragon Eye Reborn by, let me get the author real quick, by Alison Goodman. There we go. Goodreads is being a little slow for me right now. Aeon, or Eon, E-O-N. So I'm assuming Aeon Dragon Eye Reborn by Alison Goodman. This is book 1 of 2. I really liked this because it was a different version of Alana. So there's this girl who is working where she's not supposed to work because she's female, basically. And it's a male-oriented field, and it's like a training ground, basically, for like teenagers. And so they're doing this ritual with the dragons and like tethering a dragon to different people. And there's this dragon who hasn't been seen in like a century or so. And it turns out that dragon is tethered to Aeon. And no one knows why, because it hasn't shown up in ages, even though people have tried and tried. Sorry, correction, not people. Males have tried and tried and tried. Turns out this dragon is female, and so will only tether herself to a female. So it's all about Aeon striving to figure out where she stands in the world, where everything fits, as well as her friends and family, and Prince figure out who she really is. So it's a really good, modern take. It's based on Asian cultures. I don't remember which one, but the whole dragon culture. The next one I have on my list is Arusha and the End of Time, which is the first book in a quartet. It's also the only one that's out in the quartet right now. That is by Roshani Chokshi. Sorry if I mispronounced it. I mentioned this author last video, maybe? No, 2 videos ago in my wrap-up of February. She's the one who wrote Gilded Wolves that I wasn't a big fan of, but I really liked Arusha. If you don't know about this book, it's basically Percy Jackson, but with Indian gods, not Native American. The Native American is a different series altogether, but Indian gods. So there's this girl, Arusha, whose mother works in a museum, and because of that, they actually live in the museum. And turns out that her father is an Indian god, and they have to basically save time. They have to go into this, like, basically the ether, and save what they can while she's learning all of this stuff. Most of it is like refresher for her because, well, some of it's refresher for her because the museum they live in, although she's learned about it, her mother didn't give her the proper training in order to deal with all of this mythology stuff, even though she was supposed to. So it's really interesting to see her figure it out on her own and get help when she needs it. And I really, really enjoyed this book. The museum is actually, I'm just seeing it now, the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture. So she has learned about it, but her mom hasn't given her any additional help. The next one that I have on my list is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Now, I've only read this one. I haven't read the second one because the third one is coming out later this year, and I kind of want to just all read them together. But this one is about 2 sisters, one of which is the main character, but they live with a fairly strict father. but they want to get away from their father because he is fairly strict. So they keep hearing about this carnival that they can like participate in. It's a game that anyone can participate in if they have a ticket. So they somehow get tickets and get to the carnival, and then the main character, whose name is Scarlet, had to double check because it's been like 2 years. Whose name is Scarlet, has to find her sister. So it's all about, she's not the brave one of the two, so it's all about her finding herself and making sure that she has the strength within her to find her sister. And the last one is, of course, Matilda by Roald Dahl. I had to include this one, even though I just read it last year for the first time. I don't know why, but it's all about a girl who has powers and a family who doesn't really respect her at all and kind of ignores her. But there's a teacher at school when she finally starts going to school who recognizes her for who she is and helps her. It's all about, females finding each other to empower each other, basically. So it's a really good book, another one that I think all kids should read. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any of your favorite books that have strong female protagonists, let me know in the comments below and we can see if any of those overlap. If you have any questions for me, of course, always let me know. Always remember there is that little subscribe button, and if you want to see new videos from me, I try to get them out at least once a week. And I will see you guys later. Peace out, everyone.